Hello, everybody. This is Hiie Somatics. My name is Hiie, and I am a somatic movement specialist and an author and speaker. And today we have a guest who has been with us before, Mark Momplaisir, who is an author, a speaker, a health and wellness coach, organizational psychologist, and many other things. So I love the first interview that we did. You all can also find that interview on the channel. It's about exhaustion and motivation and how to keep going with our strength training practices. And today I have invited Mark to be here to talk about letting go and the importance of the practice of letting go. Mark, before we get started, do you want to say anything else about yourself? Did I introduce you well?
No, you did really well. I appreciate the introduction. Definitely good to be here. Always a pleasure talking to you. It's delightful just having conversations and learning from
Yeah,
your perspectives, and it's good to be here. It's good to chat with you.
that's nice because this space is about learning together. Learning from you, learning from me, and then I hope the listeners benefit from this too. Well, so let's get started. So for me, letting go, we can think about letting go in very broad terms. For me, letting go can refer to letting go of a system of like a particular thought pattern. It can be letting go of relationships that are not functional, letting go of a house, letting go of a memory, letting go in many, many different ways. So, how does this theme of letting go resonate with you in your work, for example, with clients of different kinds? And one thing I want to say also to the listeners is that one reason why I admire Mark so much is that your work is really holistic. Like I know you as somebody who works with people on their physical health. Like physical strength training, getting them into a good shape. But then you have this. Like so many other dimensions, you have a spiritual outlook on the body and healthy mindedness and a healthy soul even, and then you also help people with like their thoughts and then the mental realm. And so the concept of letting go for you might resonate in so many different aspects of your work. So I don't know
Yeah.
where I'm going to go with this question, but here it is: letting go in your very wide holistic work.
Definitely. I mean, personally, I've had to let go um, many times. There have been instances where, when I held on to things, people, relationships, and uh, jobs for way too long because I was afraid to let go. I didn't know how to let go. And for me, oftentimes, I grew up with a grandfather who didn't believe in letting go, right? It's like letting go means you quit, and quitting was never an option. And so for me personally, I've been taught to not let go, to hold on to things and force them to work, whatever it takes, however long it takes. So I've had to change my approach to life, to relationships, to work, to friendship, to my own internal characteristics, like what's working, what's not working. So for me, letting go has different dimensions, right? So physically, you can't hold on, right? You can't hold on to something, right? Let's say you're falling, or let's say you uh holding a gallon or a weight in your arm, right? You can't hold on to it forever. So you have to learn to let go sometimes if you want to manage life, right? If you want to be in a healthy state, you have to learn to let go. And emotionally, we hold on to thoughts, to ideas, and what we want things to be, right? And by the time we realize that those things are unhealthy and they're hurting us, it's kind of late, we're already broken, right? We're already hurt because we don't know how, when to let go or how to let go. And so yeah, so there's definitely different ways you can think about letting go, and think about how we hold on to things, to people, to situations, to thoughts that are unproductive to our well-being. So definitely, I'm excited to dive into the concept of letting go with you. I think it's a great conversation. I talked about it in my first book,
Yeah.
Letting Go is Not Quitting. And I also talk about it in my second book, The Power of Letting Go. Sometimes if you want to free yourself, if you want to, experience something different, right? If you want to make space for something greater, healthier, better, you have to learn to let go. And you also have to learn not to feel guilty letting go, because people are good at making you feel bad for letting go, right? They might make you believe that you quit, right? You let go too soon, but they don't really understand what you're experiencing. Only you know what you're experiencing mentally, physically, emotionally. So when you learn to let go, it's really for you. And sometimes it's also for, it benefits. Let's say you let go of a person, it also benefits them because you're allowing that person to grow, right? You don't want to put a cap on their journey, on their growth process. So you have to learn to let people go as well, so they can learn to fly for themselves or for their own beneficial needs.
Yes. So, Mark, imagine I come to you, which, in a way I'm doing. I come to you, I ask, Mark, I have to learn how to let go. I loved how you used this word. Why I had to learn how to let go.
Mhm.
So I come to you, I say, Mark, how do I learn how to let go? How would you guide me? How would you teach me? Like, how do I start? What is this process? What kinds of things do I need to keep in mind to understand that this is something that doesn't just happen, that is not some kind of like a cutting of cords, for example,
Right.
but it's a process that involves learning.
Well, um, in everything that requires growth, right? Every aspect of growth, you have to go through the first step, which is awareness,
Uh-huh.
right? What is it that you need to let go of? Are you aware of it, right? And once you become aware of whatever it is that you need to let go of, can you accept, right, that process? Can you accept letting go? Can you accept the potential outcome?
Mhm.
Because again, when you let go, you're letting go of something you know. You're letting go of something you're familiar with. You're letting go of something that you have control over, right? You know how to, manage it or maneuver through it. So letting go means learning to adjust and adapt something different, right? So first step, awareness, right? What is it that you need to let go of? Like what is it that's not work that you believe is not working in your life, that you need to let go of? And then we'll go into the next step, right? Acceptance, right? If you accept that you need to let go and you know what it is that you need to let go, and then we can go into action, right? Then we can go into designing the steps that are required to let go. So, and again, so I have pretty much five steps when someone comes to me and they tell me they want to work on something. We go over those five steps, and based on those steps, then we can evaluate, reevaluate, go back, move forward based on the progression. And so it's important, as the individual who wants to let go of whatever it is, to be aware and to get into a space where you can accept. Letting go means change. It means acceptance. It means self-awareness. It means consistency. It means discipline. It means, all those things, because they all required for you to be successful in whatever, journey, whatever process you embark on. You have to be able to be intentional with all the steps, and accept them for what they are. Even if you fall back, you have, setbacks, give yourself grace, and knowing that, for me, my role in every client's life and journey is to be a support system. right? You have someone who can hold you accountable. You have someone who can, kind of help you along the way, guide you when you need guidance, and then support you when you need support. And also, just be there, right? It's good to have someone there who understands your journey, who wants what's best for you, and who also is on their own growth process, right? Because you want someone who can learn your journey. If you're working with someone, they can't learn your journey, like what you need to do, they can't understand it, they won't be able to help you. So even as a coach, I have to be a learner, right? I have to constantly learn from my clients. What can I do differently to support them, right? What different approach do I need to take to to create a better process for them to go through that's going to work for them and not for me, because it's not about me. So
Oh,
definitely first step, awareness, acceptance, work, support, and then we evaluate.
mm.
Yeah.
I love how you said that you also have to learn, you have to learn the client's journey also.
Hmm.
Second, the 5 steps. The first is
Yes.
awareness. The second is accept.
Acceptance.
Then action. Notice this
Yes.
how it's like A.
Right.
Then what follows this? For
Well,
what?
the next one is support, guidance,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the last one is evaluation.
Mm-hmm. And what I love in the system also, tell me if I'm right, is that, for example, I get to the first step, through the first step. I know
Yeah.
what I have to let go of. And then I have the second question, this next stage. Can you accept that the changes, the process, the potential outcome? And let's say at that point, I say, I'm actually not ready to accept this yet. And so I'm like, I'm not ready to move forward. I need to
Right.
spend more time with the awareness and with the whatever, maybe it's grieving or maybe it's some other. And then at a certain moment, I ask myself again, am I ready to accept? And then I move forward. So it's not this
Right.
kind of like, I must let go, I must let go. It feels
No.
somehow very, when you describe the system to me, by the way, I've never seen this like a, like it's like a philosophy plus plan of action for letting go. I love it.
Right.
It feels like there's a moment of, especially with the second one, I feel like I, as a person, I have power over whether I proceed or not,
Hmm.
what I need
Yeah.
maybe.
Yes. Absolutely. Again, when someone comes to me, right, um, I can't give you a solution,
Mhm.
right? I cannot give you the solution to whatever issues you're facing, whatever setbacks, whatever it is that you need to work on. I can't give you a solution, but I can help you with a better process, right? So I often ask people, especially when it comes to relationships or work, or just unhealthy thoughts and patterns. I often ask clients, what are you ready to do about whatever it is, right? What are what are you ready to do? Because sometimes people are just not ready. You can make them aware, like you said, but if they're not ready, you cannot embark on a process it's just not going to work, because they're not going to be receptive. So I believe when it comes to growth and change, there is a prerequisite that we all need to, go through. Whatever it is, sometimes we may need to spend more time in awareness stage, right?
Yes.
Sometimes we may need to, you know, unfortunately, it's unfortunate to say it that way, but sometimes we may have to stay in that unhealthy relationship for a little bit longer before we realize that, what, it's really not working, right? Because life happens in stages, right? And sometimes the stage you're in right now is the stage you really need to prepare you for the next stage. So if you prematurely bypass it, then you're missing that growth stage, and you're going to end up repeating that same stage, later on in your life. So it's important to understand when to change, what to change, how to change, right? Because they all matter, right? Because change is going to happen regardless. But if you're not aware, if you're not intentional about the change, then you can't grow from it. You can't use it as a growth process. It's just change, right? If you're not aware of it, it's just going to be changed because it's inevitable. It's going to happen. But when you're aware of it, then you can kind of, dictate how that change process takes place, And you can also, not necessarily design an outcome, but you can be intentional about what you want to experience during that change.
Mm-hmm. And also, what I think is one component of your the stages philosophy is that it is asking for like some radical honesty also. Because I
Absolutely.
might tell you, yes, I'm ready. Yes, Mark, you asked me, are you ready to let go? Yes, I'm ready, but I'm actually not. So
Right.
I need to be, for this process to activate itself, like I need to be very honest with myself.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Like that component also, because sometimes
Yeah.
we lie to ourselves about what we can and can't do.
No, I agree. And I think one thing to also remember, when you're working with a coach, you're working with a therapist, you work, even talking to a friend, it's not about the coach, it's not about the therapist, it's not about the friend, it's about you.
Mhm.
So when you're not honest with yourself, you are delaying your own growth, right? Because again, when you're honest, that means you're ready to accept whatever it is. Then you can move forward. But if you're still in this denial of stage, then it's extremely difficult for, a coach, a therapist to guide you, because we can guide you, but it's going to be under false pretense because it's not real.
Yeah,
Right. So ultimately, you're not going to get the outcome that's going to be beneficial to you, because it was based on dishonesty.
right.
Hmm.
Mark, can you tell us about the role of discipline in letting go?
Discipline and letting go. Listen, you
Yes.
need so you in every aspect of life, you need discipline, right? So letting go, the way discipline works with letting go, it's already hard enough letting go, because whenever you're familiar with something, whenever you're familiar with a pattern, it's hard to let go. And without discipline, it's even harder. So discipline helps because when you set goals, right? When you set intentions, discipline is going to help you hold on to those patterns, right? And even not being able to let go requires discipline, right? Because you have to be, steadfast in whatever it is that's not working, to keep doing it, because it's not working, but because you're so conditioned to doing it, right? So discipline is a condition, right? Because conditioning. So
Mhm.
you have to recondition your mind, recondition yourself, recondition your habits, your patterns. And so when you choose to let go, you can, again, reject everything else that's not working. Like, for me, if I know I have to wake up at 5:30 to make it to the gym, and I'm out, I'm out with friends, they're having fun, we're all having fun, but I know I need to wake up in the morning, I'm not gonna stay, out until 1 o'clock and not get to go to the gym in the morning, right? And that's discipline. So you have to ask yourself, when it comes to discipline, again, we can simplify it, and not just make it a word. It's, and turn it into a process, right? When you understand what you want to experience, again, it goes back to the individual. What is it that you want to experience? How do you want to experience life? How do you want to experience yourself? How do you want to experience this moment, right? It's all about you. So when you can be honest, when you can be clear about whatever it is that you want to experience, have discipline to do whatever it takes. That's going to facilitate and lead you to that outcome. Otherwise, it's just going to be all over the place. You're going to wing it. And however it happens, right? And if you don't have discipline, letting go is just never going to take place, because you're always going to be, all over the place. Somebody else can dictate how, you experience your life, how you experience your own experiences when you don't have discipline, because you're not focused, right? You're not conditioned to a certain way of life, in a sense, and you're not also not conditioned to shape your patterns and journey to the life that you want to experience. So discipline and letting go definitely works hand in hand, because without discipline, letting go will be for a moment. It'll be temporary.
Mhm.
It won't be lasting.
Yes, because I think some of us, we have this vision of letting go as this kind of like, oh, let me find a way to cut the cord, to break the thing, da, 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 and then it's like this illuminating moment that is going to
Mm,
change my life. But yours truly, I find it to be like, to me, letting go these days is so much about working with my thoughts,
right.
having really discipline about how I think about certain things and when and da, 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 da. So it's like it's a mental discipline, mental conditioning, more than anything else.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, a quick, anecdotal story. I when I was a teenager, I was 13, and I experienced a really traumatic experience. A good friend of mine got hit by a car in front of me, and so for a long time I was blaming myself, right? Because I was older. He was 12. I was 13. I believed that it was my responsibility to protect them. And so for a long time, I was just, because I kept replaying, these negative thoughts in my head until one day, I went to see a therapist, of course, and he taught me to practice this, whenever I start having these thoughts, to reject them, right? You know, to just, nope, not gonna happen, not right now. And you start, it's almost like you're exercising, right? It's like, working out. And so whenever these negative thoughts start coming, I would automatically, first you acknowledge them, and then you reject them. You replace them with something else. And so over time, you start building these mental muscles, right? You start building them, and then it just happens automatically where those thoughts just stopped completely,
Huh.
right? So you have to learn to reshape, the structure of whatever it is that was the old pattern. If you had unhealthy thoughts, you have to learn to reject them, right? First, acknowledge that they are your thoughts, right? You can't just, there's no, I'm just gonna stop automatically, just this quick stop. That's just not the way growth works, right? It takes time. It's a process, but that process has to be intentional. So for me, it was constantly rejecting those thoughts, and over time, I don't remember how long it took, but over time, your body will kind of, restructure its thoughts and its patterns and habits, and so you will adapt something healthier, but you have to be intentional with it. And again, you have to give yourself permission to, have setbacks. Sometimes you may not be able to get rid of the thoughts, and that's okay. But just always remember what it is that you want to experience. And when you can establish that, then you can definitely control, be intentional about the steps that are required to get to that outcome.
Hmm. Mark, what is the role of, so we talked a little now about the role of thoughts and the mental realm a little bit, but what is the role of the body in letting go also? Can I use bodily awareness or physical practices in this process of letting go?
Absolutely. Everything is connected, right? When you take your body, it's every aspect of it is connected: mind, body, and spirit. It's, this three-dimensional being is all connected. And so you can't improve one without the other, right? So physically letting go, again, we have habits, like physical habits that we get accustomed to.
Mm.
You can't let go of the mind if your body's still doing the same things, right? It's just not gonna work. You can't say I'm exercising, but I'm eating, just anything I want. It doesn't work that way. You can't say I'm exercising, but then your thoughts are extremely negative. It's just not gonna work. So it's all connected. Whatever it is that again, it goes back to what it is that you want to experience, and you have to take steps, physical, mental, steps, spiritual steps that are gonna get you there. So again, it's all connected. Letting go is not just it's not just a mindset, right? it's a physical and spiritual thing as well. So you have to learn to how does okay, if I'm letting go of this, what do I need to change physically? 'Cause sometimes you have to. If you're trying to get over a breakup, you can't say, well, I'm just not going to think about it, but you're still hanging out with that person you're trying to get over, right? It's just not going to work. So your habits and patterns and thoughts and feelings, all of it have to make sense and they have to work together to be successful at letting go.
I see. So there has to be like an alignment of
Yes.
my thoughts, my actions, my
Feelings,
yes, my feelings.
right? Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Yes.
these different parts of me have to tell the same story, or like they have to.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes. Otherwise, it's not balanced, right? And that's one thing I focus on a lot. Balance, right? For anything to be healthy, in the sense of the word, it has to be balanced, right? Because if it's not, there is, this misalignment where things are just not complementing each other, and eventually, it's gonna break down. So you have to learn to get everything to align, to work together if you want to get to the outcome that's beneficial.
Yes, and then in our work as people who work with the body, I think this we can teach people about this misalignment and alignment, because the body is a great way to show people what alignment means and what it
Absolutely.
means and feels like to be misaligned. Because
Right.
I think for some of us, this word alignment, like let me be in alignment with my goals or with my let my thoughts and actions be in, like sometimes that's a little bit obscure. We don't see how we get misaligned. We don't
Yeah.
feel it in the world so much. But
Hmm.
to use the body, it's like a concrete thing. The misalignment and the
Right.
alignment. Like, oh, wait a second. If you're aligned, movement is easier. There's lightness. There's
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I was working with a client recently, and her one leg was kind of shorter than the other, right? And
Mhm.
so I had to, teach her how to balance the misalignment, and that was, at times putting extra padding in one shoe in the other shoe. So that, so it's easier to show someone something, um, when they can see it, to teach someone something when they can see it. So it's always good to use, external, um, not necessarily stimuli, but to use external examples to teach people how the mind is pretty much the same thing as your physical being, right? It's really all the same.
Wow. Mark, do you want to tell the listeners about your books or something that is coming up for you, like some programs you're running, or where we can find you or read more about you?
Certainly. Well, I've written two books. The first one is called Strong Women, Fed Up Men, Defeated Sons, Broken Daughters, Healing Generational Pain. It's about some of the detrimental and unhealthy patterns that slavery has left behind, and how we're still using those traditions and patterns to raise children, interact with one another in the Black community. But it goes deeper, right? We talk about purpose, talk about forgiveness, talk about how to move forward. And you don't have to be from the African descent community to really find the book useful and interesting, because it goes deeper than just that foundation in the story. And the second book is called The Power of You. The journey to I'm forgetting the subtitle, but it's called The Power of You, and it's a weekly reading where every week you read about the power of something that can either make or break you, right? That can either enhance or disrupt the way you live your life. So it's coming out on March 29th of this year. I'm super excited about that. And we're getting ready to publish it. And again, it's 52 weeks of uh, different chapters with a bonus chapter about the power of communication. And so I know you've read it, and it's I've had really great feedback so far, and I'm excited because I learned a lot when I write my books. I'm also learning
Mhm.
as I'm writing, doing research, talk to people, talking to clients, talking to strangers, and reading books. So it's a very important step and journey for me to get to write these books and learn along the way. So definitely look out for the Power of You. It's going to be a very powerful reading, and I think it will definitely help a lot of people.
Yes, I totally agree. I have read both of the books, and both of the books are both books are the kinds of books that you want to read multiple times in your life. Like the book comes back to you again at a different stage in your life. We go back to the teachings. I've had to, like, the first book I was underlining, and then life happened. Like, okay, I have to go back to the book and see what Mark had to say about this topic. And the second one, I remember I was reading. It's a very healing. It's a very empowering and a very healing book. Also, I remember I was going through a heartbreak myself, and I had this ritual of, like, I think I did like one chapter every day or so.
Yeah,
And so I was like, okay, I'm sitting down. I'm going to read this. I'm going to read this chapter, and then there are questions at the end and ways to take action. And then I was like letting this theme resonate, like a particular theme
mm,
resonate with me during the day or the week. So I highly recommend, and it's really impressive work and so multidimensional and wide-reaching reading.
thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Mark, so much for coming. And then I will put all the information about Mark and how to get in touch with him in the information bar below. And then approach us with your questions for private training and coaching and lessons and classes, and invite Mark to give book talks and teach at your institutions, and me too.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well,
Uh,
great. Thank you so much, Mark. Yeah, you want to say something else?
no, I was gonna say, how much I admire your work. I admire you as an individual. I've known you for a long time, and you're amazing. And I think you're doing such an amazing work with your clients, with your articles, and everything you do. And it's always a pleasure to have these conversations and catching up with you.
Thank you. I already have an idea for the next one too. I wrote this down.
Okay, sounds good.
I will tell you after the interview what the next topic is, but I'm not going to tell you guys, the listeners, otherwise you will know. But
I'm
it's an
excited.
exciting one, and I think it's going to speak to a lot of you also.
So
Okay,
I'm looking forward to it.
great. Until next time.
All right, thank you, Hiie.